Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today let's solve yet other lead code question. The description of the question is as follows, that the complement of an integer is an integer you get after flipping all zeros to ones within a given number. So let's just consider the first example. I'll just write a note point. Complement of the number is obtained by flipping all zeros to ones and all ones to zeros in the number. So that is how I'll just call an answer to be 0, and the idea in here is very simple. So in my current power, which would be 2 power 0, we are dealing with binary representation. So binary representation, if I explain you more clearly, would be of this form, right? So if my number is this in binary representation, then ideally in decimal it would be here. In binary, how it would be happening is, this would be 2 cube followed by 2 square followed by 2 power 1, or I'll just call it 2, or followed by 2 power 0. You knew binary will always be of this kind only. So if more or if a more digit number comes, then we'll just add 2 power 4 also here. So what this will be specifying is, in decimal representation it would be 1 into 2 cube 1 into 2 cube plus 1 into 2 power 0. And we also know that anything power 0 would always be 1. So that's ideally 8 plus 1. So the decimal representation of this would be 9. So every power, I as already specified, would be of 2 power 0. So 2 power 0 will always be 1. So my power would be 1. And for computing, so I'll just say, given my number is 5, for computing the binary representation of it, what I'll do is I'll divide by 2, because you could see that for every binary digit moving towards the left, we are increasing or we are multiplying with power 2. So for getting the decimal representation, what I'll do, or binary representation, what I'll do is I'll divide it by 5. So if I divided 2 by 5, then I'll be having remainder as 1. So a remainder will be 1, and 2 2s are 4. So here it would be 2. And again, if I divided it with 2, the remainder here would be 0, and followed by, here it would be 1, because 2 ones are 2. So here it would be 1, and here it would be 2. I'll just call it 2 ones are 2. Remainder would be 1, so 1 is less than 2, so we'll stop it over here and we'll trace in the reverse direction. So the binary representation of 5 is 101. So ideally what we are doing is, we are checking for every percentile value. So what I'll specify here is, while num what first of all, I'll just need to increment it or multiply it by 2, as we are moving toward the left part of it, and I'll just check my answer would be plus or equals to power, if my num percent 2 is equals to 0, then I'll flip it. So I'll need to add power to my answer, else I'll just add 0 to my answer, and I'll also specify num by equal to 2. So here I'll just specify return answer, and ideally this should be working fine. Let me just check this out. So it's working fine. What I'm doing is, we need to flip every bits, right? So if my value or percent 2, that's remainder, is 0, then my current bit is 0. So after flipping it, it will become 1. So if it becomes 1, then I need to add the current power to the answer, else I won't add anything. So I'll just return 0, because in the case if it's 1, after flipping it, it will be 0. So I'll just add 0 to it, and I'm just specifying for every iteration I'll just divide it by 2. And as we are moving towards the left part of it, then my power would be incremented by 2, right? So it would be into 2. So if this is our last example, this is our int max. In case of our int max, what we should return here would be, I'll just call it long, because in that case, not long is sufficient. And I'll just try running this now. Yes, why long is required is because if that's 2 power 31, then into 2 will be cutting out of bound. So to reduce that out of bound error, or to remove that out of bound error, we are just multiplying it by 2, and I'm just specifying that my data type is long instead of int. So this is how it's working. And to fairly reduce the complexity, what you could do is you could simply specify that I do not need to import any libraries from C. That would be helpful for me to taking input or giving output to the terminal. So I'll just submit this out. It's working fine. So feel free to add anything in the comment section if you think anything is unclear. Thank you.